It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting, either through my website, emailrevealer.com, or you can email me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. Our guest today, it was really a fascinating woman. I've been talking to this lady for a long time. Kristen Spielman. She's a model. She's a paralegal up there in the D.C. area. And she's hooked up with these guys, Jacob Wohl and Jack Burkman, the two lobbyists, dirty trickster type guys, political operatives. And has a lot of information about their activities, you might say. So Kristen Spielman, you can find her at Kristen Spielman Model on Instagram, and also at Model Mayhem. You go there and look up Kristen Spielman, and you can see how beautiful she is. Kristen, are you there?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Kristen. So tell us about yourself. Who is Kristen Spielman? I know you're a paralegal, you're a model, you're a mom. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, I do a lot of things.
Yeah.
I am a paralegal part-time. I am a model part-time, and up until COVID, I was shot girl at a club in D.C., Mad Hatter, for a while until they closed.
And two beautiful boys, right?
Yes, and I have two beautiful sons.
They really are, man. Very well-kept young men. You can see them, handsome guys, very happy kids. It's always good to see a good mom with good kids. I really appreciate that. Now,
thank you.
How did you get involved with Jack Burkman and Jacob Wohl? First, tell us, who is Jack Burkman and Jacob Wohl? Who are they? What do they do?
Well, honestly, I didn't know who they were at first, but I know enough now. Where do you want me to start? Chronological or...
let's start off with this. How did you come into contact with these two gentlemen? Okay,
so they called me about, maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. They cold called me. I actually don't know how they got my number. Could be through one of my agencies, my modeling agencies, but I doubt it. They don't really give out personal information. But for whatever reason, they got my number, and or however they did it, and they called me, and Jack talked, and he said that he had heard about me, and he really wanted me to be in this reality show, which wasn't too shocking to me. I've actually been offered a couple reality show roles, but I had never heard of him. I'd asked him the name of his company, and I think he said J.M. Burkman Associates or something. And, quickly, I quickly typed in his name on Google, but had I gone a little further, maybe I would have not met them for dinner that night. But I didn't know who Jacob Wohl was at the time. And we met at Morton's in Bethesda. I live in Maryland. Jack lives in D.C., and Jacob lives in, L.A. and Miami. And then when he lives in D.C., he stays at a hotel in Arlington. So for the election this year, Jacob's been mostly living here. So went to Morton's, and, they really sold me. I mean, I will say this, they are very good salespeople. They are very good talkers. They basically sold me on a show they wanted me to be on because according to them, there are only 4 good-looking girls in D.C. That's what they told me. So they were trying to find, I guess, a pretty girl to play pranks on celebrities. And like Ashton Kutcher, like sort of innocent stuff, like the show Punk,
right?
From back in the day, and that's how it started off. And we had dinner and some drinks and hung out. They sent a limo for me back and forth. Just pulled out all the stops, that sort of thing. Jack was very convincing. They offered me $300,000 for season 1 of what was supposed to be called Project 1599, which is Jack's address, 1599 something street. And it was supposed to air, I think I met with them in September or October of 2019. And I guess it's actually only been...
it hasn't been that long.
Yeah,
You've been hooked up with these
only
guys.
been like a year and a couple of months, but it honestly seems longer. But so he offered me $300,000 in season 1. He said we'd be at about 12 episodes. They would send me to LA to just do these things, and the whole premise of it didn't really make sense to me because if they wanted me to be involved in some sort of prank, and then Jacob was going to be on the show as well, and they said, and I said if they wanted me to be involved in these sort of pranks, I think word would get out, and it would be sort of hard for me to for people not to pick up on it because it was supposed to air in January. And
also, $300,000 is like a huge fee for a reality TV show. And did they?
It is.
Yeah. And did they show you any other projects they had been involved with or anything like that?
Excuse me. They did not show me anything. They said that they had been successful in a lot of areas of TV and media and that sort of thing. And I honestly don't really follow politics that much, but that seems, that's obviously their thing.
Well, but the thing is now is when the night's over, right? And they're offering you $300,000 on a spot on a TV show. You must have gone home and started Googling them then, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. And I found some things, the press conference. Actually, I don't think it was that night, but I think it was before our second meeting, and I actually thought Jacob was Jack's intern. He, seems he's young, and he was doing the things ordering the limos and just looked like administrative work, taking notes and that sort of thing. And he didn't talk very much. So Jack did all the talking that night, at least. And so I did Google them, and, I'm a legal researcher, so I can find out things pretty quickly. And, I saw a couple of the things they did and was a little thrown off. So at our second meeting, which I believe was at the W Hotel in D.C., the rest of the meetings were at hotels in D.C. because that's usually where Jacob stays when he's here, and, there's restaurants there and stuff. So when I got there, they had this whole plan for me, and this is when, Jacob got really involved. He completely, turned on the charm, the manipulation, the all of it. He convinced me this was going to make me a star. Not that that's anything I was seeking after. I do model and I've been in some shows and movies and stuff, but it's not. I could never move to LA. This isn't that life's not for me. But he convinced me, or he tried to convince me to say I was selling Percocet to Nancy Pelosi.
Okay. The plan they had, they wanted you to do a press conference saying that you were selling Percocet?
A press conference.
Right, that you were selling Percocets to Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
Now, when they first brought that up, what did you, were you in shock?
I was in shock because not only was I was in a bad car accident, and at that time I actually was prescribed to some sort of medicine like that, and I was also in a custody battle with my ex, so I didn't want any negative publicity, and furthermore, that's just not something I would ever say. I would never I don't like a lot of attention. I have a public speaking fear. I would have never said anything like that. This is not what they had told me on. This was a complete 180. So I was very uncomfortable, and I said absolutely not. And so then they decided they would come up with something that I'd be more comfortable with.
How much did they offer you? I'm sorry. How much did they offer you to do the Percocet deal?
I don't know if we even got to that point. I don't know if they even offered me. I think it was part of, for what they were saying for me, it was going to be part of the salary, the show.
Right.
I know that now they're filming a documentary. Now they have cameras that are, follow them everywhere. And
today they are filming something. There's cameras that follow them everywhere. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever received any money from these guys?
I've never received any money from them.
They've never paid you a dime. Okay.
I've never done anything for them. And after the Pelosi thing, I met with them a third time, and I think that's that's sort of public information. They wanted me to say I was having an affair with the senator Ted Cruz, and say just ridiculous things that it was almost even worse than the Nancy. It was.
Okay, hold on a second. The first one was they wanted you to say that you sold Percocets to Nancy Pelosi. Now, the second one was they wanted you to say that you had sex with Ted Cruz and that he needed a penis pump. Am I correct?
Yes, among other things. And not only that, it was supposed to be a script, right? I'm used to, some sort of acting, and at the top of the paper, it said statement of facts and beliefs. It was an affidavit, and I'm a paralegal, and they wanted me to sign it. And I was like, all right, and this is at Jack's house. And so at that point, I'm just shocked. And they scheduled it for the very next day. They had it scheduled. And I knew I was never going to do it, but I didn't know how to handle it. I was sort of in shock. So I took pictures of it, and I don't think Jacob was comfortable with that, but I said I need to rehearse. And I went right to my lawyer's office and in Bethesda, and he went pretty crazy. He had a lot to say about it, and they ended up getting me out of it, but he did say, this is not, there's one thing, there's political satire and there's defamation.
Right.
And
it's perjury, too. Fake affidavits, perjury.
What's that?
Yeah. Perjury, too. Yeah. Okay, now, let me ask you a question. Now, at that time, were you ever intimidated by these men? At that time?
At that time, I was scared. Yeah, sort of. I was sort of in a position where I was scared to say no because they had scheduled everything. But that being said, they completely blindsided me, and didn't know what to do. That's why I went to my lawyer's office, and we hadn't signed a contract yet, though. They had they said they were preparing one with some sort of check, but I never received anything, and I would have never done anything like that anyway. And I didn't know how, I didn't have a Twitter account at the time. I didn't go on Reddit, so I didn't know just a lot about them, a lot of the hate amongst America for them. But I did see a couple of the press conferences they had done before, and I sort of got an idea, is this really a reality show? And it didn't seem like that. For Spike TV, and then I researched that. That's not even a company anymore. It was bought by, I think, Paramount Productions, some other company, and just things weren't adding up. So so my lawyers called them, I think, and I told them I was not doing it anymore, and then Jack called me about 70 times that day and texted me a bunch of times and said, Kristen, this is your big chance to be a star. You're making a huge mistake, and so on and so forth. And I just sort of ignored it and hoped, just hoped it would all go away. So that was that, and then...
Well, did they actually find someone to make the statements about Pelosi and about Ted Cruz? They found other people?
Yeah. Actually, my friend Kylie, who's a model in one of my agencies as well. And I talked to her about it, and I had a bad feeling, and we're pretty good friends, and she really she believed it. I mean, she was telling me, it's just a political satire. It's nothing. And I was like, well, I don't know. My lawyer said that, Ted and Heidi Cruz could sue me for everything, all that. And she wasn't worried about it. But, she had also sang the national anthem at a previous press conference. And they thought by disguising her in big sunglasses, no one would notice. And obviously people did.
Now, how do you think they came into contact with her? How do you think they found her? Did they find her through you?
No, she, I guess, applied to one of their Craigslist ads.
Okay, gotcha.
It was just a coincidence.
Okay.
Yeah. And it wasn't, she said it wasn't advertised as that. It was advertised as, need bikini models for some sort of shoot, which, models do all the time. So,
right.
So yeah, but they did pay her. I know that much.
How much did they pay her? Do you know?
$700.
Oh, really? Okay. Paid her in cash?
No. Jacob paid her. I think she said Jack wrote her a check that bounced, and then Jacob paid her.
Okay. Now, okay. So now, what was the next big incident? Because we were talking to them about other schemes and plans that they had as well, right?
Right. So, I mean, yes, I became, I guess, friendly with them. I don't even know at what point. We stayed in touch. I researched them. I know a lot of they have a horrible reputation, but I try to see the good in people, and I got along with them. And my friend Jason, who was opening a new club in DC, wanted me to post it on my social media sites just to sort of get people out there. As their job for a long time was to promote events. I was like the Bud Light girl for 7 years or something, and I just know how to market events. So I tried to gather whatever D-list celebrities I could find in the area, and he was one of the ones that came with me to the club opening. And
Jacob.
Yeah, Jacob. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
And yeah, I mean, we went out a few more times, just always as friends. Nothing. At that point, I talked to him a bunch and told him that I have pretty strong morals, and I would never do anything like that. The press conferences they've done before, and he did ask me, or he did have some ideas about me doing other things for them that I may be comfortable with, but going after someone in Florida who I guess was a pedophile or something. I don't even remember their name. It was a while ago. But
and how would you go after him? What would you do?
Likely a press conference. I mean, that's their thing.
That's your thing,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what they love to do. The Burkman driveway press conferences.
Oh, let me ask you a question. Burkman did this press conference about, I believe he was either Mueller or Comey. I think it was Mueller, or that he was having an affair.
Yeah, it was Robert. Yeah.
Right, and the entire press conference, he had his fly unzipped. Was that on purpose? Why would he do that?
I don't know. I don't think, knowing him as well as I think it was an accident.
Okay.
But I think it's funny. But it happened again.
Really?
At another one I saw, yeah. And everyone was saying he should just get better fitting pants. I don't know. It could have been a joke, but it was sort of a serious, not only a serious accusation, but a serious press conference. So I would say it was an accident, but that said, I don't think he's ever going to live it down.
No, definitely not. Now, also, too, these are the guys who started the whole thing with Seth Rich, the whole Seth Rich story. Have you? Now, I've asked you about. Go ahead. I've asked you about that before. Have you talked about that to them since?
I know about it just a little, but I didn't know, and I think it was just Jack that was doing that. Jacob was living in LA, and Jack at a certain point noticed him and offered him a job here and to do all this stuff with him, and that's how it all started. But I think Jack did that on his own, and I believe that's when, I don't know if it was related to that, but he had a private investigator that I guess shot him in the butt twice, and then ran him over with a car and shot his dog in the leg too. It's a pretty crazy story.
It is a pretty crazy story, yeah. Now, does Jack actually believe the stuff he says about Seth Rich, or is that a hoax too?
He hasn't really talked to me about it.
Okay.
That's so long ago. I actually really haven't talked to them that much about that. They know I don't know who most of these people are, so,
right.
They'll tell me stuff or,
Any of the press conferences or any of the stunts that they pull, do they believe any of them? They're all a joke. Right?
I really can't speak for them as to everything they're thinking.
Right.
I do know that a lot of them are supposed to just be funny. Funny not in the conventional way, but funny in, it's so ridiculous that, it's funny type of thing. But, obviously others have come forward and said, they never got paid and they got tricked into doing it and that sort of thing. And had similar scripts and that and all of that. So I don't know. There was one.
Are they getting paid to do any of these stunts? Hired?
They make money somehow. I don't know the finances, but Jack has hundreds of dollars of bills. I guess he just has cash everywhere, all over his house. And I don't know. He seems to have a lot of money. They're both able to afford all these attorneys. And I hear it's coming up to $1 million at this point between legal fees and all the indictments and all that. So
he has cash.
I know they make money.
He has cash lying around the house, right? And their address, right? You know where they live, right?
Yeah, I know.
Would you go out to dinner with them one night and leave the door unlocked? I can sneak over there. Okay.
What's that?
I says, can you go out to dinner with them one night, leave the door unlocked, and I'll sneak over there? I'll split it with you.
I once they once made me so angry. Yeah. I told them I was going to give his garage code to the Black Lives Matter movement after what they did.
That would be nice, yeah. Okay, now the story about Anthony Fauci. They made some claims about Anthony Fauci too. Yeah. They did a press conference. What was that one?
So I do know a good amount about that one.
Yeah.
So first of all, the girl Diana was in on it completely. Everything was staged. The accusation was false. I don't think she ever got paid, despite what. And I think Jacob told me they didn't pay her. Jacob was also having a fling with her at the time too, sort of convincing her to do it. And she basically did everything they wanted her to. Online, was a conversation between the three of them that got leaked. Well, that they leaked, and it's so fake. It was laughable. Like it was Jack, Jacob, and Diana talking, and Diana's like, "What am I supposed to do with all this cash?" And and they were just like sort of yelling at her and like and that sort of thing, and they. So well, they never talk to us like that. Like, they are very charming. They are very like, they would never. It was so scripted, and like, you could just tell it was fake. And do
you think they were paid? Do you think they were paid for that stunt?
I don't think they get paid for any stunts. I think all the stunts or all the things are their idea. I know that they are making money somehow. I don't know. They told me they have a list of like 150 clients at their lobbying firm, but I don't really know much about like what they do, outside of this stuff, because anytime I see them, like, nobody's like working, like nobody's like at an office or with other clients. The times I've been there, it's usually just about, whatever the next thing's going to be.
And so their major focus is on these stunts and these press conferences and these hoaxes. Yeah.
And the ideas just keep getting exponentially, like, crazier that they've had. And, they've asked me to be in a couple other crazy things that I guess... that girl Diana leaked a audio, I guess, that was purposeful, but it was just of Jack and Jacob talking, and they had asked me to say that Hope Hicks from the White House, and I had to look her up because I didn't know her either. Gave me $70,000 in cash or something like that to bring to Diana to accuse Dr. Fauci of this, and they had a whole backstory for me. Like, I spent half my time in LA anyway, and blah blah. And I was just like, look, anyone who knows me, like, would poke holes in this like so fast. Like, I don't, I have 2 kids. I live in Maryland. Like, I don't leave really. So obviously I said no to that, and they just moved on to something else. But yeah, I mean,
okay,
Diana was definitely in all that. Yeah.
Now, Kristen, you and I came into contact with each other when we started talking about the Ghislaine Maxwell, where they came out and claimed that they had. I guess it was you. You released a contract, what's that then? A lobbyist release form.
Yes, I was the one that talked to the reporters, and it was in the Daily Mail.
Right. So what's going on with that? They showed you this form, a lobbyist release form, saying that they were working for Ghislaine Maxwell as lobbyists, and then you went to the Daily. Yeah. What's going on with that story?
Well, I mean, it was sort of. It was sort of a lot, but they were explaining it to me, and. Basically that she had paid them $25,000 to smear these victims and of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and they gave me some names, and I tried to remember as much as I could. I carried this notebook around with me, and when I went to leave, I wrote down what I remembered. But so their job was to do that, or so they told me, and
to dig up dirt on the victims, but also too to lobby to get the SDNY prosecutor fired.
Yes, Jack told me he was very good friends with, and I forget his name,
Bill
whoever
Barr.
was above that guy.
William Barr.
Okay, yeah. They used to work together somewhere, and he said that, that I guess the whole strategy was to try to get the prosecutor fired in hopes of just a less aggressive prosecutor, or maybe a better deal. I'm not really sure, but that was the purpose of getting him fired. And then to discredit the victims, they had a lot to say. Like, I mean, they definitely did some research, and Jacob had a lot to say about, a lot of these girls. And I had watched just, the Netflix series and stuff, and I believed it all. I thought it was horrifying. But, he would tell me things like one of the girls who got raped and pregnant by Jeffrey Epstein. He's like, no, her boyfriend got her pregnant, and then she demanded $150,000. Like, these girls are all like fat, like gold diggers, and like, I don't know. He was just, I don't know, just not very positive about.
Right.
They seem to have a lot of information about these girls.
Now, at the time, I know you believe their story, and they even held a press conference. It seemed kind of odd, like there were actors there at the press conference. What do you think now? Do you think they're really working for Maxwell, or do you think that whole story was a hoax?
I mean, I can't say for sure, just because, like, the documents I gave, were on the living room table. Like, I took pictures of them and stuff, and I didn't think that was. I actually thought that was already sort of out there, because I think I had read about it, or Jacob was defending Ghislaine on his Instagram,
right.
Something to that effect. So they were just telling me, I guess that was the biggest thing they were doing at the time. Or, they just, it's possible they lied to me. It's possible, but I had no reason not to believe what they were saying, just because, I also saw a contract. I didn't get to read it or take pictures of it, but I'm a paralegal. I just recognize the contract when I see one, but I didn't read everything, and I can't say for sure. I know that they, I know Jacob at least went on YouTube and did a whole thing about it, and said he's received several checks for $25,000 since, and that maybe I got a couple of details wrong, but in the article, which they weren't happy. I mean, they weren't happy that I did that in the first place. Excuse me. But I can't say for sure.
Okay.
It is possible they lied to me. They did a very good job at it, if that's the case. But at that point,
do they still say that they're working for Maxwell right now?
I haven't spoken to them.
Okay.
And in a while. So last I heard, yes, but I don't really know. I don't think her lawyers commented on it as far as I read, and I don't think they could talk to. I don't even think they should have told me as much as they did if there's privilege. But
now the press conference that they held with the Boogaloo Boys, with the paint guns, and these witnesses coming up there, that was a standard boilerplate scripted press conference like they always do, correct?
I have no knowledge of that,
okay.
But I did spend. I'd go over there and hang out sometimes, and or Jacob and I would go out sometimes, but I don't know. I knew they were doing a press conference about it. I didn't know, and
but after you saw the press conference, it's standard, one of their standard press conferences, right?
Yes,
yeah.
Except it wasn't as it wasn't like the Marine who accused Elizabeth Warren of all that stuff. It wasn't like as funny, as you know, or
Right.
not that. But people were sending lime green dildos to Jack's house for a very long time after that press conference.
Right, I remember that too.
First one.
Okay. Now,
But no, I don't know if it's true or not. I do know that they do hire actors from Craigslist, and hire, but never really pay, from what I've been told. And some of these people don't even know that they really think they're auditioning for a movie and they have no idea what they're doing. From what I've been told, and I've talked to a couple of these people, and basically no one had anything good to say. Like that one Marine, Burkman Wohl, who did that press conference.
Yeah.
About Elizabeth Warren. They told me that he left them to go on Saturday Night Live, and he just became a star. And I actually talked to him, and he was like, "They ruined my life. It ruined my life.
Really?
People were harassing his family, that sort of thing." So, I don't think it works out for most of the people that they get to do these things, but.
Yeah, you'd have to be crazy to put your real name on something like that and attract all that kind of attention, especially for someone like Elizabeth Warren, who's run for president, has a lot of followers and fans and supporters. Now, since I contacted you with some information that I saw that they were charged with these crimes in Michigan, I believe it is, robocalls, and you weren't even aware of that until I told you, right?
I was aware of it.
Okay. Now, were they arrested or just charged? Was it an arraignment, arrest?
There was an arraignment. I mean, I think they've been charged in Michigan and Ohio now, and New York. There's a civil suit, and there's a couple other states I think that might not press charges as well. But yeah, it's multiple felonies in each state, and. I don't know. Jacob doesn't seem concerned at all. I don't think he thinks they're going to prison. Jack's a lawyer. Despite his faults, I think he has a little bit better grasp of maybe the consequences and thinks that they might do a little bit of time.
Yeah, the audience that listens to this show is very familiar with the story of Reverend Ed Pinkney, who was charged with altering some dates on a recall petition, okay? Four dates on a recall petition, and he got 7 years. He wound up doing 3 years, which is a far less serious crime than these guys are being charged with.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I don't think they thought they were doing anything illegal at the time. I think they think it falls under freedom of speech. And I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know, but I know Jack's a lawyer, I know Jacob's dad's a lawyer, so I assumed that, it wasn't that, I mean, I didn't know. I didn't know what to think or what was going to happen, but then I guess Attorney General of Michigan really went after them and is now, and it got pretty serious pretty fast. And other states are following. So I don't know. I guess it's not looking good for some.
So now they were charged with they were making robocalls to Democrats in minority neighborhoods, saying that if you go and vote, then the bill collectors, if you have a warrant, they're going to come after you, and the bill collector is going to find out what your phone number is and your address is. Were there any other ones besides that?
So yeah, there was the one. So yes, the first one was for I guess the swing states to say not to mail in vote because I guess the police would use it to track down old warrants and debt collectors to collect debt and to track people for mandatory vaccines, from what I understand. Okay. And then there was there was other ones, I guess, in the Democratic states where they used, I guess, an actor who supported Kanye. They did a robocall supporting Kanye West, and tried to take the votes away from Biden that way.
So they're actually being charged with the ones involving the Kanye West calls.
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I actually don't think so about that, and I don't know too much about that. I just
okay. Kristen,
I just know that.
why do you think you stay involved with these guys?
I'm not currently involved with these guys.
Yeah.
The whole sort of point of me talking to these reporters, and I didn't start it. I never talked to a reporter before this summer, whenever the first one was, and didn't really know what to expect. I mean, neither of the main articles I did turned out the way I wanted, and I sort of wanted to publicly distance myself from them because, I was getting harassed online. I was getting bullied. I was worried about my ex using stuff in there was a lot of factors, and so that was why I spoke to the reporters, and I didn't know how they got my number, but people started calling my brother in California, my mother, emailing me at the law firm, and I was just like, all right, I gotta I guess I'll just do this. So I talked to my lawyer, and I just figured out what I should say or shouldn't say, and even then it didn't turn out. I wasn't happy with them and the articles. That is, I mean, they were okay, but I've gotten a lot of negative attention. I've also gotten some modeling jobs from it, ironically enough. But they weren't very happy with me. I can say that.
Have you ever been afraid of these guys?
I mean, yeah, sort of. There's they know, just because, I consider them friends, and people are going to think, I'm crazy for thinking that, but the reality is, they're not as bad as they're painted out to be. However, I think that they don't have, I think I was one of the more normal friends of theirs they had, or they said in politics, everyone screws everyone over, that sort of thing, and they want to be in the news regardless.
And you told me also, too, that they're very lonely. They don't have any friends.
Well, I mean, I think they have a couple, they have a couple friends, but I think I've met one, and Jacob now the girlfriend. I met her once before, and they seem. I think his one friend, I met that guy, Ali Alexander, I guess is his name. Do you know who that is?
No, I don't know who that is. No.
He's on Twitter right now a lot for bad things, I guess. But Jacob introduced me to him under a different name. So I don't know. I don't know about that. But no, I mean,
do you plan to have a relationship with them in the future, or do you think you should just go your separate ways? And...
No, I mean, I sort of went slowly. Yeah. I mean,
one more question, because we only have about a minute left. Are there any schemes or plans they have in the future that you could tip us off about?
Any schemes in the future that I know about? Not that I know of. I mean, I think they're likely pretty focused on not going to jail, but
you would think.
They did have,
you would think, right?
They did have a lot of things planned before, and I think it was to get Trump reelected. That's my best guess. That's what every reporter asked me, why are they doing this? And I mean, I can't. They've never really told me, except that they're doing it for their country. They said.
How close is their relationship to Trump? Because you see pictures of them together.
I mean, I've never seen them together, but one night I met up with Jacob, and he told me he had just come from dinner with Trump. So I don't know if that's true or not, but you know.
Well, if he just left dinner with Trump, he would have a picture with Trump, wouldn't he?
I would assume.
Yeah.
So, unless they hung out all the time, I guess that makes sense.
No, but still, if you just left dinner with the president, you're going to take a picture with the president. Kristen Spielman, we're out of time. You're a delightful woman. I thank you very much for coming on the show. You can go to Kristen Spielman Model on Instagram. You can find her on her Model Mayhem page. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Good night.
All right, have a good day.